Hi, this is Kim Sutton coming to you from Arcata, California. You can call me the math lady because a lot of students around the world call me that. I want to build on something from the book Even Stephen and Odd Todd. So if you saw on my YouTube channel, which by the way, subscribe to it, you're going to see a lot of great stuff. It's just creative mathematics. When you go there, you will see that I read the book Even Stephen and Odd Todd. Great piece of literature, great way to begin to think about the patterns that occur with the evens and odds. I also followed it up with a lesson called Picturing Odds and Evens. And I want to build on that. So this would technically be a level 2 lesson. And then I will also put in here the level 3. So I want to build on the idea of evens and odds because there is a part of this story that invites you to think about the patterns that occur when you add numbers, but instead of thinking about the number, you think about whether the number is even or odd. So I'm going to do this by using an I wonder statement. And the big statement is, and I will pose it as a question, I wonder what happens if you roll 2 dice and you add. Will the sum be even or odd? That's what we're going to explore today. So first of all, you want to find 2 dice. But I always think it's funny if you're thinking about doing math at home because I don't always have what I need there. So I kind of have to look around and substitute in for things I could use instead of using 2 dice. One really simple way to simulate what would happen if you roll 2 dice. Well, let's think first. What happens on a regular die? I'm looking at this. I'm looking at every face on the cube. And basically what I see are the numbers 1 through 6. So when I roll 2 dice, I'm generating one of those numbers, 1 through 6, on each one. What if I don't have that? Really simple idea. And I just made this up ahead of time, but all of us can find scraps of paper. I wouldn't use toilet paper right now, but you can find scraps of paper. All I did was put the numbers 1 through 6 on each of those pieces of paper. Then I put them inside a bag, and all I'm going to do is to draw them out. So I drew out the number 1, then I put that back in and I shake them up, and I drew out the number 6. So in this game, you're just generating the numbers 1 through 6. Another option is if you happen to have dominoes, which again, not everybody has, but I do have a sheet on my website in the free section. Again, website is www.creativemathematics.com. I do have a template of double 6 dominoes. So if you have a printer, you can print that out. You can cut those apart. That's an option. Another option would be to pull out the numbers in a deck of cards, A being the first letter of the alphabet. That's my value of 1. I'm going to pull out the cards, really 1 through 6. That's the same situation as rolling 2 regular dice. So knowing that, let's just learn a quick way to play a game that's simple, doesn't require you to have a data sheet. Although teachers, I will provide the data sheet for you at the end. On this game, you're simply going to draw a T-table. You're going to label the left-hand side with an E. What do you suppose that stands for? Oh, that's right, even. Label the right-hand side with an O. That stands for odd. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to roll 10 times and we're going to see whether our sums are even or odd. I'm wondering, do you think even Steven's going to win this game? Do you think it's going to be odd Todd? So when we play this game, I've always liked my students to look at the dice, state the add-ins, because we're adding. Each one of the numbers in an addition equation is called an add-in. I see a 5 and I see a 4. And I think to myself, 5 plus 4, wonder what that is. Oh, that's right. I see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is one way to know that. Or maybe I just know that 5 plus 4 is 9. I want you to go back and review this lesson because you actually have a very dramatic picture here. If I look at this, oh, that's right, I made a picture of 5 and I made a picture of 4. Now, what it means here is we're going to add those two together. Adding means we're going to put them together. So I want to know whether my sum is even or odd. Well, I've got this funny hangover part, so I'm going to rotate this. Oh, look what happened. I see 4 groups of 2 plus 1 more. That means that's an odd sum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that equation under odd. Now I'm going to roll again. I rolled a 2 and a 2. And I think to myself, well, 2 is an even number because even means I can make groups of 2 without a leftover. 2 is an even number, so I have an even plus an even. Well, I don't have any pictures. Oh, yes, I do. Here I have one. This is my 2. This is my 2. I put them together. What do I have? I have an even sum. So I'm going to roll 10 times. I want to see whether even Steven wins the game or odd Todd. Here's the fun thing. You can have a tournament here where you roll and see for that game whether even Steven or odd Todd wins. But let's go back to something bigger. So go ahead and play the game. I want you to roll. Write whether the equation is even or odd in the column that it goes in. And then we'll come back and we'll see if we can generalize from this situation. Did you get a chance to play the game? I don't know whether you had even Steven win the game or odd Todd, or maybe you had a tie. But let's talk the way mathematicians would talk. Mathematicians always try to learn something from whatever they do with numbers. That's called a generalization because whatever you learned, you could apply in a different situation. The more I played this game, the more I realized there are really only 4 things that can occur when you add numbers. Here's an event. You have an even plus an even. Now, you can't talk to me, but I would be saying to my students, talk to me. What's the result when I have an even plus an even? And they're all shouting, even, Miss Sutton, that's always even. All right, what happens if you have an odd and you add it to another odd? And all I did was rotate this odd so that I could join those two together. What's the result when you have an odd and you add it to an odd? Oh, Miss Sutton, it makes an even. Now let's move down here let's take an even number and add it to an odd. Oh, Miss Sutton, there's that funny one left over. That would be an odd number. Now, let's do the commutative property. We're just flipping this. So let's start with an odd and add it to an even. Oh, Miss Sutton, you got to kind of move those around. Okay, let's do it. Oh, yeah, you're always going to have an odd. So what you just explored is a really big idea in mathematics. These are things called constants. These will never let you down. When you get ready, you can download from my Dynamic Dice book. You can download a wonderful data sheet for this. But again, you don't really need the paper, but I will post it in the free section on my website. Thanks for listening. I'll do the level 3 lesson so that you can see how it changes with multiplication.